Good morning, and welcome to the breakfast broadcast. This morning, we are going to be eating breakfast together and talking about some interesting news that I found over the past couple of days. This morning for breakfast, I've got shredded wheat. I think it's called shredded wheat. It's shredded, but it's quite well formed into a big chunk. I'm gonna break it up with my spoon when it gets wet. And for cereal, I've got a mix of a bunch of different things that are probably too long to list, like Berry Colossal Crunch, and all-bran, some really crunched up all-bran cereal. Just bear with me a moment. I'm gonna set up a live stream to Instagram, as you were. Alright. We should be live on Instagram in 3, 2, 1. Alright. What? Why do you keep doing that, phone? Alright. And welcome to the breakfast broadcast, where we're gonna be eating breakfast together. And we're going to be talking about some interesting news. So I gotta repeat it for the Instagrammers. So for breakfast this morning, I've got some shredded wheat and some Berry Colossal Crunch mixed with some flax and some shredded oats. And I forget what else. But there's probably some other things in here. Maybe a few hemp hearts left. Who knows? It's a mystery. I think today we'll call it mystery cereal. I'm hilarious, I know. Make sure everything is working here. Alright. We are on. And we are on. Let's turn the chat. Okay, the chat is going on. Alright. And now, hopefully, I can get this set up perfectly here, so that I can have an easy access to the list of articles I want to go over today. The first thing I want to talk about, of course, is net neutrality, after one bite of my breakfast. So, not too recently, but a little while ago, the Trump government initiated new rules in the FCC, so far as I understand, that made the internet no longer neutral. If you don't know what net neutrality is, it's basically some internet websites go faster if they pay more, and other internet websites go slower if they don't have the money for the extra speed. So what that would do to the internet, it would mean that the few companies that have the most money, they would have really fast websites. And everybody else, generally speaking, would have shit speeds, or they'd have shit speeds at different times. I remember in the days when I was on dial-up, and I used to have to wait for pages to load, sometimes one word at a time, but it was mostly like chunks of text and like bits of images at a time. It was really slow, and the internet speed has slowly gotten better over the years. But if you try to control the pipeline so that only certain websites can use the speed, then it's going to make it impossible for certain websites to grow, or just hard for them to grow. One case of impossible to grow I would see is if you were making a website to do video streaming of live events. So let's say you were streaming the Super Bowl, and you had all the legal rights, you paid whatever bullshit you had to pay to stream that kind of thing, to be able to stream the Super Bowl, but all the people that came to watch your stream is a low bit rate, it's really choppy, it keeps cutting out frames, it keeps going to a black screen because all the bandwidth has gone to another pipeline where someone else has paid the same amount of money to stream the same thing, but they can do it in high definition without having to worry about any latency because they paid the extra money. So it makes it impossible for that small company to grow and basically puts them out of business. It's terrible. I gotta get over using the word basically one of these days. Trying to sum things up is something that normally, you know, you do in writing before you do a video, but this is kind of live. I like to sum things up, not ramble on too much. I think that's why it helps me to have my breakfast here, before I ramble on to infinity. A couple more bites of my breakfast. Tasty. So this is an article from theverge.com. By the way, if you want to find any of the links to the articles, if I remember, I will post them in the description. Otherwise, you can check them out at ChrisMSTweet. They're all on my Twitter account. So this article talks about how robots and AI are going to make social inequality even worse. I believe that they already have made social equality even worse, and in a lot of ways they will continue to do so. But it's important to note that every time a machine takes away the job from a human, it can be looked upon as a bad thing, that they're taking something away from us, or it can be looked upon as a good thing, as they're freeing up our hands to do other things. Personally, I don't want to go to the river every time I want a glass of water, so we invented a machine to pump the water for us. I think the big problem really comes in is not from machines taking our jobs, because that just frees us up to do better jobs or different jobs. I think the real problem comes into play for social inequality and robots and AI when rich people are the only people who can afford to buy AIs and robots, and then they have them working for them. Then they just get richer. For example, Tesla, part of their master plan and part of what they want to do with their cars in years to come, unless they already have, I could be mistaken, is they want to do the autopilot thing, where it autopilots for the driver, but then when the driver's at work, you can kind of rent out your car to other people and have it autopilot as a taxi while you're doing other things. So you can make money with your car, an AI or a robot, whatever you want to call it, while you're at work. Now this would be great for the people who can afford to buy Teslas, but for the rest of us, that's terrible. If you're a taxi driver, now you're losing work to a robot that you don't own. And it's not long before you see, it's not many years away before you're going to start to see taxi drivers just completely replaced by AI robots. And that would be, and that's fine, it will free up the taxi drivers to do other jobs, but during the transition phase, taxi drivers that were humans are now broke for a number of years until they teach themselves to do something else or find some other kind of work. And whoever owns the AI taxi cabs, they're getting stinking rich because now they have the income of an entire extra person. I'm not saying that we'll pay these taxis the same that we paid human taxi drivers, but yeah, I hope you hear what I'm saying. A couple more bites of my breakfast. God damn it, it's getting all soggy because I'm rambling. Yeah, that article is from The Verge. It's an okay article, filled with errors though. I don't know what's going on with The Verge lately. They got lots of, they need some proofreading going on in that town. Oh, good news. Tesla has completed its first successful test run on the Hyperloop. It went like an average of 40 kilometers an hour for like 900 kilometers or something like that. No big deal, right? But if you know what the Hyperloop is, it's like a tube with a train in it. On maglev, I believe, and because there's nothing outside, it makes it harder to crash, it makes it easy to keep the track clean, all this kind of yada 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 bullshit. The Hyperloop will kind of revolutionize travel within the United States and other places where it's being implemented, what I said, just because it goes a lot faster. It's like a bullet train, but way more efficient. So yeah, Hyperloop successful test run. That is really good news. Connecting the global village is a pretty cool thing. I'd love to be able to wake up and just go have breakfast on the opposite side of the planet, and that will be in the future if we can get there. But we're a ways away. Oh yeah, there's I think the app's been out for a while, but I'm just hearing about it. There's a try-on makeup app. A couple more bites of my breakfast. So there's this try-on makeup app. It's basically augmented reality through your phone. I believe that they're selling it up to be much greater than it actually is. But yeah, maybe you can see a little bit of it there. Go check out the video. Go check out the app, because I think it's part of my vision for changing the future of augmented reality and virtual reality, where everyone, instead of being themselves, they're going to look, well, not everyone, but a lot of people are going to look like people they aren't. It's worse than makeup. It's the worst thing to the world since makeup. People are going to spend hours every day digitally modifying themselves so that when they're sharing themselves through the camera or through their VR app with telepresence, they're going to appear as someone they're not. No pimples. The cure to pimples, apparently, is a digital mask. The mask that beats all makeup, because it layers your entire face and your eyeballs, everything. I think the good part about it, though, is it will give people an easy way to see what they look like in lots of different configurations, and then realize that, hey, I can be all these different looks, but I'm just living underneath of it all, you know? Who knows? We'll see where it goes. Oh my fucking god, you gotta try that makeup app. If you're into that kind of thing. A couple more bites of my breakfast. And tasty. Yeah. Alright. I think I should add a chroma key. What do you think? You leave a message in the live chat that you want me to turn off the chroma key. I will turn off the chroma key. I know that it's not a very good chroma key. Or it's not a very good green screen, whatever the hell it is. But it's the best I got for now. And it does enable you to view this beautiful background that I have, which I completely plan on replacing with a video of the sunrise. Alright, next article. So, Volkswagen Group, they're getting into virtual reality apparently. So Volkswagen, as they pronounce it over there, and there are many, they've got a new VR app. I don't know what it's for. I think it's just in beta stages right now by the looks of it, but it looks like their plans for it are pretty cool actually. So kind of like going to Volkswagen's website is kind of like going to a car dealership, but instead of it being a 2D website, it'll be actually like going to a car dealership in 3D space, you know, virtual reality, that's the whole thing. But they've also added to the app teaching, I think, their production liners how to build cars in VR. And that'll make it way easier and way cheaper for them to do. I mean, they could train people remotely all over the world to build their cars, and then once they're fully trained, they could have them start work at the factory. It would be way cheaper. And I love the future of VR location, POV location. I don't know what to call it yet, but I'm getting there. A couple more bites of my breakfast and I'll delve into the next episode. Let me see if I can load a little bit of the video here. Certainly don't want to spoil the whole thing, because that would be against fair use or something like that. It's not going to load, I've got too many things blocked. This article's a bit scary actually, from The Verge. Talking about some new AI research that makes it easier to create fake footage of someone speaking. And this is another thing that I'm concerned about in the future, is the ability to make fake news at a higher and higher quality level, to the point where it makes it harder and harder to disbelieve. I wonder how many people or even more so, what the generation gap would be on watching a video of Obama saying something he's not, and what percentage of the people would just straight up believe that, yeah, Obama said that because I just seen a video of Obama saying that, and I didn't detect anything that made it seem artificial or fake or created. When you combine AI with making these videos, then it gets incredibly more precise, and you could even, in fair time, simulate an entire 3D environment to make it feel so that you can have multiple camera angles and multiple seemingly witnesses. You could virtualize in catastrophes that never really happened, which is terrible. But yeah, I'm hoping that social media will kind of stop things like this, because I just hope that there will be more individuals posting the truth than there will be singular super rich assholes controlling super AIs making fake videos of bullshit. I hope that there's just more people speaking and people can decipher the truth because of the numbers, basically. You know, Fox News might say this, but everybody else says this. And we gotta get there. We gotta stop saying, well, Fox News said this. No, stop saying that. Speak for yourself. Question authority. Fox News being an authority. And a media source. A couple more bites of my breakfast, and I'll start talking about these new maker spaces that are popping up all over the world. So this is a maker space that's, well, an innovator space that's popping up in Peterborough. It's kind of like a maker space. It's all about entrepreneurship and encouraging innovation and startups and personal businesses and smaller businesses. And I'm glad to see this in a northern Canadian city, because I feel that the world is going this way, kind of following behind China's lead, where in China you have individual citizens being their own businesses all over the place in China. Almost everybody's working in China because they all have their own business, and they're capable of doing that because the structure allows them to. Their copyright there, they view it in a completely different way. Their view of copyright is, if you can copy something, then you have the right to copy it by all fucking means. And they should make it better so that you can't copy it, not pain in the ass better, but actually better to the point where you can't engineer it to that quality. You can't produce it of that quality. Alright? That's part of the reason why they don't like copyrights in the East, because copyrights discourages innovation, and it stagnates the moving forward of society. A couple more bites of my breakfast, and I will delve into the next point of interest. The music that's playing right now, by the way, is an album by Metro Xavier called 12 Followers or something like that. I'm not sure. I will definitely do my best to post a link in the description. And I'm working on producing a video for the entire album to watch while listening to the album. You know, nothing fancy, just a video of the sunset or something like that. Oh yeah, Facebook is now letting you stream live from inside VR. I'm not sure exactly how it worked, but I did read the article. And from what I understand, people are going to be able to put on VR headsets. Well, it's out, but yeah, people can put on VR headsets and then stream live to Facebook, so that people on Facebook, they can view it in a two-dimensional manner. And then I guess maybe move the cursor around. But it's a good step towards telepresence and live streaming everything in VR. We're not far away before there's going to be live VR streams from different popular locations in the world. So you'll just instantly be able to go stand in Times Square and look around as if you're actually there it just takes that 360-degree live cam being in Times Square, and then people able to accept the feed. So we now have a way for people to accept the feed. It's not the greatest way, but it's definitely a step in the right direction. Good on you, Facebook, for once. I love how much money Facebook wastes on things, though. I mean, Facebook, really. I mean, Facebook, you started as a book of faces, and now you've gone too far. You've gone way too far, Facebook. They're trying to be everything, but it doesn't work that way. A couple more bites of my breakfast. I'm getting pretty full, to be honest. I'm probably gonna have to fridge the rest of it. This is just another post on net neutrality, and this is actually the post that like rung that bell in my brain of how slow the internet used to be on 56K. Because I started reading the post and I'm like, what if the internet? I'm like, oh, this is horribly formatted. What is this, Facebook? But then I started reading and it's like, what if the internet was so slow it loaded one word at a time? And then I'm like, holy shit! I used to have to wait for things to read them. And yeah, we really need to you really need to defend the neutrality of the internet, because control of the internet is control of the flow of information. And if you know anything about propaganda in world history, then you know that whoever controls the flow of information controls the world under them. And we can't have that. We've got to stop the United States government from fucking everything up. I swear to fucking God. They can't keep doing this. If you don't have a family to lose, do everything it takes to stop the US government from being such assholes. Honestly. It's a load of horseshit. There isn't any democracy in the United States anymore. You think it mattered who voted for who? You had what? A black or white decision? You had a left or a right? And that's ridiculous. There was no vote, okay? Democracy in the United States is dead. I don't know what to do for you guys. Move to Canada. You got to do something, because it's not working out. I'll help as best I can up here in the north, but there's only so much I can do with a bad back. Alright. Yeah, I think I'm gonna fridge the rest of this. Alright, rise up, United States. Fight against the powers that be. Be the people. Let them know. I mean, the reaction on this topic was actually really huge. Yesterday, July 12th, the world stood together and spoke up and made videos and shared information all about net neutrality, speaking up against it, saying that we need the internet to be neutral, we need the web to be free. A lot of the companies that stood up are actually really big, like Google and Facebook. And I don't know the clue, but they sound really big because they're near the top of the list. Reddit. I'm going to start going through the list of all the different companies that are standing up and speaking out against net neutrality. Amazon, they spoke out a little bit. Airbnb, Twitter, Mozilla, Netflix. Yeah, even Netflix. Netflix, who has had personal problems with net neutrality issues. At one point in time, not long ago, different groups were getting together and saying that Netflix was taking too much of the internet bandwidth. So, in order to address that, what we're going to do is we're going to limit Netflix's bandwidth. So what that would have done is that would have basically screwed Netflix. Completely screwed Netflix. It would have meant that Netflix would get less bandwidth than everybody else, and that would have been completely unfair. And I am not saying that I agree with Netflix's use of bandwidth, because the way they go about it does take way more bandwidth than it needs to stream the videos, because from what I understand, they use a back-end peer-to-peer network, so that when you're watching something on Netflix, it's actually using your internet connection to upload the video you're watching to other people so they can watch it. So when you're watching something on Netflix, they're not necessarily streaming it just from their servers, they're streaming it from all the other people watching Netflix. So it's kind of shady that way, and yeah, I do get that harms the internet, but at the same time, that is fair usage. It's completely fair. People are capable of throttling things of their own if they need to. And if they don't know how, they can learn from somewhere. The Electronic Frontier Foundation. Octupid. Imgur. Anyways, the sum is, honestly, millions and millions of people banded together to speak out against this one issue. And this is a thing that a central government of relatively a few people has tried to do to the world. They've tried to end net neutrality. And this is the world, this is the people, speaking out against it. Now, a lot of these things are from outside of the United States, but they're all speaking for net neutrality. We're all one planet. And it's not just up to the United States government what happens anymore. If they're not going to let their people decide what they want to happen because democracy is dead in the States, then us as a world, we're going to help. We're here. Join change.org and sign some petitions. Google the FCC net neutrality. Find out what you can and do what you can. I know life is hard. You survive first, and then do what you and still do everything you can. Thank you for joining me on this morning's episode of the Breakfast Broadcast. Peace all.